guys are all here today. We're here to do another truth tester. We're coming together so that we can experiment with reality, and in these experiments with reality, we can come together to discover the truth for ourselves. And these natural laws that exist, also we make a connection between those laws and spiritual laws that exist to help us understand the truth that is in the Word of God and the truth that's in Jesus. Today, our truth tester that we have for you is asking a question of you. And the question is for you today to think about. The question is there power in prayer? Is there power in prayer? Prayer is this very small, little, minute act. It's thought by many to be insignificant, and maybe even some would say that it's unimportant. Some would even say that prayer is for little kids, for children, and for dreamers. And really, some might even say that prayer doesn't have power at all. You know what? I have a question. What about you? What about you? What do you think about prayer? Does prayer have real power? Can prayer make a difference in your life? Can prayer make a difference in the lives of those in the world around you, at your school, in your home? Can prayer make a difference in our world? Or is prayer just a nice lesson that you learned in Sunday school from your Sunday school teacher? Well, you know what? Today, our experiment with reality is going to show that the key to a powerful Christian prayer life lies in consistency. That's right, consistency. And as someone has said, success doesn't always go to the swift, and success doesn't always go to the strong, but also to those who are faithful. You know what? We should never underestimate the influence of a constant, consistent prayer life. It's so important. It's just like today's truth tester. In today's truth tester, we're going to demonstrate that a small, steady effort can result in major change. Now, in case you want to try this at home, you'll need a heavy pendulum, a weight like a bucket or water or some kind of metal or something heavy. For ours today, as you can see, we taped together 4 weights from our weight set in the basement with 100-mile-an-hour tape. If you're not in the Army, it's duct tape. A ceiling plant hanger hook will also be necessary to hold the weight, suspend the weight from some kind of structure in the ceiling or the garage. Your cord should be carefully measured so that the total length from the top support from your hook to the center of the weight is exactly 39 inches. And oh, by the way, make sure you have your parents' permission and some responsible adult supervising so you don't get any of us in trouble or anybody hurt. Now we're ready. Now the fascinating thing about this concept is the actual amount of weight doesn't matter. That's right, did you hear that? The amount of weight does not matter. You see, the weight is, if it's tapped every 2 seconds by a very small object, it will slowly accumulate motion, and soon it will be swinging widely or wildly. Take your pick. It's like pushing someone on a swing at the park. With some practice, you can easily get down the rhythm. The many little taps that you make will gradually be transferred into a much larger motion. You may not move a mountain, but you can move a very, very heavy object. You know what? This same pendulum demonstration was once performed with a very heavy suspended steel beam that was tapped consistently with just a small tiny cork hanging from a string. After only 10 minutes, a slight vibration occurred in this giant steel beam. And after only 30 minutes, the entire beam was swinging wildly like a mighty pendulum. Alright, let's take a look at our storyboard now so that we can try and learn more. Alright, Now in our story, okay. Suppose a heavy pendulum is tapped by a small force. Heavy pendulum, small force, right? Of just 1 ounce. This force only has to be 1 ounce. And with intervals of 1 tap each second, in 1 full minute, the combined force against the pendulum will be 4 pounds already in just 1 minute. In 5 minutes, the force will be up to 19 pounds. That's right, 19 pounds. Alright, in this way, a small, steady push, like he's demonstrating here, slowly increases in influence. And soon, within a few minutes, this pendulum would be swinging back and forth almost from the rafters. Alright, and to demonstrate, this is our pendulum equation right here. The pendulum equation that makes this possible is T equals 2 pi to the square root of 1/8. And that's the science behind the pendulum swinging. Give it a push. Alright. Alright. You know what? This whole pendulum idea sort of reminds me of this story. This place in the Bible. It's in Luke chapter 18. And Jesus is teaching His disciples about the importance of a consistent prayer life, right? He wants them to understand how really important it is to always pray and not to become discouraged. So He tells this parable or this story to His disciples. And this parable or story is about a judge who doesn't fear God, and he doesn't fear any man either. And there's this little widow woman in this story that's in the same town. And she keeps coming to this judge, and every time she comes to him, she says, "Give me justice against my enemy. Give me justice against my enemy." And for a while, the judge is not willing to help her out or do anything. But after a while, he finally says, you know what? He realizes, even though I don't fear God and I don't fear any man, this widow is really starting to pester me. And I'm going to give her justice so she doesn't wear me out by her persistent, constant coming. And then Jesus says, listen to what the unjust judge says. Will not God also grant to His children who call consistently to Him night and day? Jesus says, will God delay to help those who faithfully ask for His assistance? And then Jesus answers His own question by saying, I tell you that God will swiftly grant them the answer to their prayer. Wow! You know what, guys? I'm telling you what. That's a pretty powerful story about this little widow woman who takes on a judge. You know what? I don't know about you, but I want my prayer life to be like the little persistent widow woman who consistently kept coming. She constantly kept coming to the judge until she moved the judge to action.